And we are back. And we're going to wrap up now. Yeah, we're going to finish up. And we're just going to jump straight ahead to the discussions and conclusions. They do a little bit about... there's some stuff about the really early history of it, and some stuff about how to do the decoding as well. So like Fourier transforms and stuff like that. Yeah, like again, lovely that they put all this. A really nice paper. I really recommend you go and read the paper. I'm not going to do Fourier transforms. Like don't listen to me teach that. There are people online that are like experts in that. Like, they'll take you step by step. So obviously it is one of the main techniques among a bunch of others, and they kind of list them off. But like that's like one of the main ones. So they kind of go into a bit of detail of it. But yeah. We don't need to do all that stuff. It's a big paper. There's a lot of stuff in it. So let's and like why are we doing this? For interest, and for why am I doing this? For the things that I find interesting and engaging and sort of science fiction related, right? Science fiction is now, but things that I think are going to lead on to interesting threads and stuff that I write about. So let's jump ahead to the discussions and conclusions. So. This paper is an attempt to summarize half a century of brain-computer interfaces, mostly because of the electroencephalography influence of these systems, right? So, yeah, they're used for scanning brains. Over time, numerous brain-computer interfaces, invasive and non-invasive, have been deployed, described, and tested. Yep, so we went through that, invasive versus non-invasive, that, the current trend is towards non-invasive. I think, obviously there's going to be huge applications there. I do think there is a sort of a hardcore future cyberpunky kind of, transhumanist movement, group that are going to be involved in this, especially if you can really get things to work really well. So, especially if other emergent technologies link up together as well. So, if you've got really advanced cybernetic prosthetics and you're going in there anyway, and you're going to do brain surgery to link those up, where it's like, well, I may as well get something that I can control my TV with and like stick a mobile phone, style 6, 7G in there. Yeah. Like, since you're in there, mate, might as well get it sorted out, right? So I think that stuff is, the authors are obviously from a very traditional medical, rehab kind of background, which is where the good stuff is. But like, yeah, there's going to be more coming. Non-invasive EEG BCIs make them the most popular, so that they're the most common, and their application potential is vast and ranges from clinical to home entertainment applications. Yep. I only talked on the. I had a very in the previous video. I had a very wholesome example of going on a date with Louis or Jung-Hoo or whoever, right? Obviously there are much creepier applications of that. If you combine your AI girlfriend with brain-to-computer interfaces. Wow, she just never leaves you, and she knows everything you love and everything you feel about all the time. Yeah, that's creepy. Brain-computer pornography. Guys, we thought we had it bad before. Okay, all right. Yeah, when that one kicks off, so with the AI girlfriend as well, with the AI girlfriend, you get like, I think the combination of those three technologies, so the chat-based AI girlfriend who gets better and better and more communicative, right? Like the AI and all the feedback for pornography, including brain-assisted stuff. And then the so the feedback from that, like AI pornography and that kind of thing, and then the feedback mechanisms as well, so having brain connections and feedback straight from that, and potentially with other interactive systems. Like, you guys have seen the Futurama episode, right? Don't date robots. Like, you won't need a robot. Yeah, It'll just be inside your brain. Like we're talking, the Matrix X stuff, going on here. Whether or not the ads will pop in, because we talked about neuromarketing last time. Baby, I just really want to do this for you, but I just think you need to renew your Netflix subscription first. Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah, it's like this service will expire unless you upgrade to Amazon Prime Plus Plus. Yeah. Yeah, so like all that stuff is happening. Yeah, like don't date robots. We won't need the robots, I don't think. I think there will obviously be that will be a whole separate issue. There will be a whole dating for robots and that kind of thing. But yeah, like the brain assisted gooning. God, I hate that word. I'm too old for that word. Okay. Yeah, brain assisted jacking off in endlessly. Like, that's the end of humanity, right? That was one of the ways that humanity nearly died out in Futurama. And yeah, guys. I mean, there'll be some guys that won't, yeah. Maybe good. Just take all those other guys out of the gene pool forever. Yeah, you guys all get Darwin Awards, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's bad. That's a bad potential application. Okay. Yeah, their main purpose was to enable direct non-muscular communication for handicapped people. Yeah, let's come back to the good stuff, okay? Yeah. And later came solutions designed for gaming, for pure entertainment. And they were followed by issuing various inexpensive consumer-grade headsets. If you want to check it out, like if you want to get your own brain-computer interface headset, and I'm like, if I was wealthier, like I'm getting to that point where I'm becoming an eccentric, old sort of biohacker cyberpunk writer. So I'm like, yes, home brain computer interface setup, let's do it. Okay. And they've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, they've got 7 references for like build your own setup like at home. Yeah, that's cool. I love all that. That's great. Like that is that's the future I want right now. Yeah. To sum it all up, BCIs can be applied for education, training, entertainment, neurogaming, medical assistance, emotional testing after appropriate development. Yeah. You know what I would use them for? I'd use them for biofeedback for my training and stuff. So I'd use it for breathwork, biofeedback, and meditation. And it's like, am I hitting those states correctly? I think that would be really cool. That'd probably be my first application for it. Yeah. Also, recent times show increased focus on real-world applications of BCI technology to speed up the transition of BCI research from the laboratory. Yeah. So, like, that's it. Yeah, like, obviously the medical stuff has huge funding and is an active area of research and development. But, yeah, like, when the gamer dollar drops, yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? So that really pushes it along, yeah. And they talk about the different types of disabilities that they can use. ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Amyotrophic, don't know that one. Sclerosis is a bending, so like sclerotic spine is when it's twisted. So it's probably when they're like, yeah, they've got that like one side of the body is twisted. I guess, not sure, but I think that's cerebral palsy. Yeah. Stroke, yeah, brainstem stroke. Spinal cord injuries, yeah, so when the signals are not going all the way up, so you can just take them straight from the brain, that's cool. Muscular dystrophies, yeah, so any kind of muscular wasting disease and you're trying to get more signals, because I think one of the coolest things that people realize now is the musculoskeletal system is also a neurological system. It's connected to all those things because I was a strength athlete, right? So one of the most interesting things about strength training is that you get central nervous system fatigue when you train really heavy, right? Yeah, like you get it at lower levels of strength training and from weight training and stuff and other types of physical demanding training, but it is particularly prevalent in heavy weightlifting. We're talking like reps 1 to 3, like heavy singles, doubles, and triples, and it's because one of the major things that's happening there is actually to get the muscles to contract, of course, there needs to be a nervous signal to the muscles, right? So it's not just, you're not just like, when you do this training, you're not just like, oh yeah, like, tearing the muscle. Well, it's not tearing, actually. We think that most of the muscle growth is caused by the subsequent repair mechanism, so the inflammatory response, rather than the muscle damage itself. So people that say that they're like, yeah, man, I'm just like, I can feel those tears. Like, nah, that's not what's causing muscle growth. Sorry, aside. So with reps 1 to 3, you're not doing a lot of that. You're not causing a lot of actual inflammatory response in the muscles, right? You do 4 sets of 3. You're fried, right? And potentially, if it's a deadlift or something, it's like your whole body, and you're walking around like, and then the next day you're a zombie, right? But it's not because you've done a ton of work. Like yeah, it was heavy, but like you could have done 10 sets of 10. 10 sets of 10, man, that's a German high volume workout. But yeah. 5 sets of 5, or so, no, we go more, but 4 or 5 sets of 15, right? Like way more total mass done, but you'll be way less tired. Yeah. So why is that? And that is because one of the major drivers of muscle use, and how strong you are, and because strength is a skill. Strength is the coordination of muscle fibers, right? If you're just like tensing the muscle, that is not the same as systematically applying force in the correct vector to make it work. So that requires neurological coordination, right? And that system gets fried. Yeah. So people with stuff like spinal cord injuries and muscular dystrophies and stuff, just by sinking, they're not doing they're trying to get the muscles to coordinate, but having brain feedback to that means that they can get those signals to work more reliably, and then that can actually cause the rehab process to happen, right? So that's super cool, right? Like, that literally is the kind of like mind over matter training. So rather than just going through the motions of trying to do the rehab, if you've got a connection and the person can get that feedback from the system, they can improve so much faster. And like, yeah, that's like I love little moments where it's like old school kung fu master meets modern, so his like there are phrases like, wherever the mind goes, the chi will follow, right? And they're like the mind, the intention leads the energy, right? And that sounds like, yeah, man, that's some sitting on top of a mountain bullshit right there. No, literally the intention applied to, which leads the energy, which it literally is the neurological, connections, electro voltage things, and the along with chemicals as well, little dopamine channels, right? It's not flouty cloud energy. It's literal nervous transmission. So the intention leads it. The nervous signals go, and then that causes the muscle contraction, and then and so it's the mind leads yi first, then chi, then your strength, your li, right? Your physical force, contractions, right? Emerge from that. Like sitting on top of a mountain years ago, yep, got that right. Okay, so like, and the cool thing is all that system is also like a yin yang symbol. It's all connected, right? So if you improve any one, you can pick up the others, right? So that's why doing you can approach it the other way. So when you have people that have serious, like psychiatric disorders as adults, or let's just pick an easier one. So like ADHD kids, right? The yi is not. He's just not quite on board, right? He's got other shit going on, man. There's also things, there's fucking Pokemon cards and stuff to concentrate on, and then I got to start this thing, and then I had this fight with my mom, and right? So it's the yi is not the calm ocean, yeah. It's not sailing the ship, It's kind of scrubbing the decks, right? But if we can start the other side, we can start from the external to the internal, we can also improve, right? Okay, so we just literally get them going through the motions. That will start sending the signals. And then the intention is like, oh, hang on, So you just send them out to sea, right? And he's scrubbing the decks, and then there's like, there's seriously that needs attending to. Oh yeah, okay, I got to get that. And then he's going back off and he's scrubbing the decks and he's playing poker with the boys. And then he's like, oh mate, we're gonna crash. Oh yeah, okay, we've got to go back in there, right? So just by setting the ship sailing, you can help the captain steer the ship again, right? So and that's one of the ways that this kind of stuff can feed back in for psychological disorders, where there's not a lot of the mind to body connection is maybe not so good, right? So you can help reinforce that, yeah. And chronic peripheral neuropathies. So yeah, where stuff is dying at the end, right? So you could have damage from, I don't know, like people from injuries, frostbite and stuff, Arctic explorers, diabetes, losing the sensations and stuff at the end, right? So they end up with peripheral neuropathies, and the first sign is like these things are progressive. So you lose your, you get all those little weird tingly sensations first, and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel too bad. Nope, your nerves are dying, buddy. Yeah. So, but like if you intervene early in these things and start getting feedback loops and okay, right, we're moving. Okay, yeah, I can do the things that I want to do again. Right, I'm going to do my right, these kind of drills. You can attest. You can stop this. Before we're chopping the fingers and toes off. Yeah. Okay. So important to develop and solve problems in 3 critical areas. Signal acquisition hardware, yeah, which is way better, right? This is where we're not sci-fi yet. Okay, so like pretty cool electrodes in the brain and stuff, but we are not. There is work to be done, like whole brain mapping, and then getting that exact wiring, and I think also some level of biocomputing, so because it isn't just the signals, right? So even if we got to the finest grain of like we're dropping into each neurons, right? There's also neurotransmitters, right? It's a wet system. It's not just wires. Okay, yeah, there is a voltage driven stuff, but we got a whole load of dopamine, noradrenaline, acetylcholine, like they're all fucking in there, right? Okay, so I think the ultimate fusion of the two, right, would be and true brain computer symbiosis, like the fusion of man and machine, man, woman, and everyone else, and machine, would be some combination of dry and wet, so you're going to have things going in, but you're also going to be able to pick up and interact with the organic chemicals as well that are in there, because otherwise you're missing stuff. Yeah. BCI validation and dissemination. Like getting them out into the public. Yeah, so we kind of talked about that. Yeah, that is definitely, and I think the private sector is going to pull that along, right? But again, it's a nice, like, I always think it's good when these things go together. So we're full like Americans. Hi Americans, if you're there. Yeah, love you guys. I did my master's in Florida. Okay, University of South Florida. Tampa Bay Rays are my team. I went to do a project there. I did fisheries science. Yeah, but some of it's just like whack. You try to talk to Americans about like whether like economics and like health economics and stuff, and they're just like, you sound like a socialist. And I'm like I kind of believe in like having a mixed model, right? Because there's like, if you actually look at the economics of it, of medicine, it's not really a kind of free market type situation. Like if you just had a stroke, mate, yeah, you don't have any market choice, right? So when that ambulance shows up, it should be an ambulance that will take you to a stroke center that is the nearest / also bestest, stroke center, right? Like a specialist stroke unit, like we have here in London, right? Okay, so if you get like there's problems. I'm just using one specific example, right? Where actually the NHS is better than the American system. So would be, you rock up to, you have a stroke in the UK, things are going bad. Okay. Ambulance arrives. Ambulance doesn't have to check who you're with or anything, or what your insurance is, any shit like that. They just bail you in straight away. They get stuck in London traffic. Sure, that's shitty, right? But they would in let's say LA as well. Yeah. Okay. So that's fair. Okay. But then they're going to the nearest stroke trauma center. Yeah, which is there's a national program. There's only, all of these are specialist centers, and they know exactly where the nearest one is, and they're taking you straight there. And then you'll get seen by specialist stroke surgeons who only do that. They only do that. Right, they do that all day, every day, copied from the kind of the Indian model, right? Where they, which actually was, and again, to say both systems work, that was a private system. They did that to save money and to save on readmissions, right? Because they started doing, when they started in orthopedics, and they just got the surgeons doing. It's incredibly boring for the surgeons, but they realized they were just robots. Just get them doing the same thing. Like, you're just going to do the same type of knee surgery day in, day out, buddy, until you are a machine. Yeah. And this has now been applied to stroke. In the UK, you concentrate the services, the ambulance takes you straight there, bam. Your stroke outcomes are better in the UK now, in around areas where there are around these centres, right? Problems in rural areas, but that's general for emergency medicine anyway. You go to America, and then it's like, which consortium of different medical services providers owns that ambulance service, right? Which insurer covers this thing? Okay, so they're making a decision based on that, yeah, not based on your outcomes, right? And you're having a fucking stroke, so you can't do shit about it, yeah? It's not a free market, yeah? You can't be like, sorry, I don't want your strawberries. I want this gentleman's strawberries. He clearly has a better service standard, and they are cheaper too. You're going to go out of business. Like, we're going to get all the guys growing strawberries like this guy's strawberries, right? Not the case. Okay, you fucked. Okay, like, yeah, they're trying to screw you for dollar. Okay, yeah, instead of saving your fucking life. Okay, yeah. So yeah, watch out for that. So yes, so when you have a combination of both, right? But that. Again, let's go onto the other side. Let's be fair, okay? Because I did say we need both. You need the core. In some systems you need a private and a public system for the system to be optimal. Like a lot of the research stuff on stroke is comes out from the States, right? So because like high level, highly paid research specialists, like for sure, like rare diseases and stuff, like the US is still miles ahead of the UK, right? So like for those situations where there is, there's dollar going in there, and there's there's a clear progression for people to make loads of money and get famous and publish and do research and all that kind of stuff. It's way better in some of the US hospitals, right? Research hospitals. So that UK-based system, with all its efficiency and stuff, and the same with the Indian system, is standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, it's piggybacking from the advances that are made in the private sector and the pharmaceutical sector, and blah blah blah, all that stuff, right? So, but both improve the other. Right, that's the key thing, yeah. Because like if you're the pharma barons, like just medical barons of the US, right, and these reports keep coming out that your stroke outcomes are shit, right, and people are dying in your incredibly expensive hospitals, you're like, okay, shit, like maybe we need to get an alliance and organize between different people, and like there's no incentive for them to do that other than the fact that there are socialized medicine systems that are kicking their ass, right? But but they will respond to that. But like, if that wasn't there, like if they are not going to conform ambulance consortiums and agreements between which hospital to go to. Like, there's no fucking incentive for them to do that. Okay, right? Like the incentive is always to not do that, right? So when you have systems that have more mixed systems, so like the German system, like they copy the good practice of the socialized systems, right? So, and then both benefit, right? So, yeah, anyway, so, man, that was a big aside. Okay, we talked about my theory about how you need the both parts. I used to work at one point. I used to work as a medical regulator. I was doing the stats and finances and stuff for the NHS. So, yeah. Reliability. What else do they need to solve problems? Reliability. Ooh, it's a bit scary. Fortunately, like I said, we're just reading the signals, right? So reliability here means is the system, getting the signal correct, right? And so this is not game ending, unless you're playing a video game and the signals are no good. Nah, I'm here all night. Yeah, so it could be video game ending. I think if these things were then, tried to apply to, like, driving a car, driving a plane, driving a, Predator drone, then yeah, like, signals messing up and getting incorrect feedback and stuff like that, issue, right? For a lot of these things, like if the signals, because a lot of them are continuous signals as well. So if you get a bit of shit, like, and then also a lot of these systems are trainable as well. So this is kind of like, it's preventing smooth uptake, but in the end state, that level of variation probably is most of the time now is kind of getting evened out by the process. So we're okay, right? Like, but it's definitely not reliable enough for the closing the loop right now. Like, no way. Yeah. So whatever neural link and all those lot will say, not good, not there yet. Okay. As EEG signals are prone to the occurrence of various artifacts and disturbances, it's difficult to analyze them and extract relevant information from such sensitive data. Also, credibility obtained with these results and proposed solutions are not very straightforward. In many cases, they appear to be disappointing for people who gave hope to them. Yeah, so that's sad. So some of those signals are gone. The whole scientific area related to BCIs is challenging, ungrateful, and hard to follow. Whoa. Shots fired, ladies and gentlemen. Also, after the rapid development in the 1990s, it's now difficult to find some spectacular breakthroughs. That's kind of common, in some areas. Despite some difficulties, brain-computer interface-related research and developments is a source of tremendous excitement for scientists, engineers, clinicians, and individuals in general. The market offers a solution for each of them, and it's possible to fit an appropriate device to the wearer's user's needs. Evidently, the recently implemented wireless, lightweight, and easy-to-use wearability has fashioned an impact on the ascending attractiveness of the non-invasive consumer-grade EEG devices. That's like, and especially they say, also go on to say about from research point of view, right? Once you have an easy-to-use because if you're doing research work that's invasive, like either human or animal studies, like that is a big skill set, right? And it's gross, man. You're cutting open brains, right? That's hard. That's a hard ask, right? Like you're gonna have to have veterinary or surgical specialists like on hand to do your research, right? Do your gaming research. Yeah, a lot easier to get a grant when you don't have to do that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. To sum it all up, here we go. Something to round off on, last few minutes. To sum it all up again, it's like they're sarcastic in their own paper. I love it. I've told you a few times now, guys. Come on, listen. What did they just say? Ungrateful. BCIs took fiction, known from the science fiction literature, into reality by providing some ways to use thoughts for control purposes. That's why we're here. It's awesome, yeah? However, although the systems are becoming more and more achievable, there is still a problem which makes it difficult to bring them out of laboratories into daily life. And the problem is the convenience factor. Long calibration time, using abrasive paste or gel to improve the conduction, and time related to placing headsets on the scalp on the verge of slightly beyond the average user acceptance, right? It's a little bit too annoying, right? Ultimately, some of these issues can be difficult to deal with by healthy users and almost impossible to deal with by people with various motor impairments. And it's a struggle to do all that unless you've got a therapeutic team backing you up, So it's not replacing that function yet. You see, so because a lot of these people it's just hard to live. It's just hard to exist. Like when you like, it's hard to exist anyway as a human being, but it's probably even harder to exist if you've got crippling, physical disabilities for sure, right? Yeah, I just stick to the mental ones, me. A man of culture, right? No, but yeah, if you've got those things, right, it's real hard to crack on and do, especially if it's a long term and permanent kind of chronic thing. So a lot of the rehab is the key role of the the physio and the support team is to just be like, come on, let's do this, like we're looking at like basically no change over time, but like, yo man, you got this, bro, come on, we're gonna walk again, yeah, like that kind of thing, right? So but because it does help, right, all that rehab, but it is a slow, painful and incremental process, yeah. And the idea is this stuff can help feed you back, but if you can't put on all this stuff by yourself and you can't get set up and it's a pain and it's a hassle, and again, it doesn't look like you've got to train it and everything, so there's hurdles to getting it working. You haven't replaced the physio team. You just got new guys in with you, yeah, and you probably got the physio guy there too. So we're not at that point yet where it's liberating and freeing a lot of people, which I think is a really valid point to make. Yeah. From the philosophical and ethical point of view, now I'm interested. Now you're talking my language. Concerning the brain-machine interactions, raise many questions regarding distribution and attribution of responsibility decision making. And this is also some of these sentences are so bad. And this is also a designing step towards construction of artificial intelligence. That is a terrible sentence. Okay. Okay, distribution and attribution of responsibility. Yeah, so that's kind of like what does the thought arise? Yeah, that is a real interesting thing, right? Because you have underlying unconscious processes before, and then you can pick these things up before people think of the thing. So it really does show like a fundamental Buddhist and like Hindu yogic understanding, which is you think you're the master of your ship, yeah, that you are the captain who's Jack Sparrowing it across the ocean of your mind. Yeah. Maybe you can still be Jack Sparrow, but it's in a storm, and he's just holding it together after the next wave crashes on and what's coming up from underneath, right? It's not a calm ocean where he's cruising where to go. Yeah, your thoughts arise in your mind without your conscious control. Yeah, you are not in charge of how your thought process happens, right? You just get to observe it when it's already started. I have had some problems with drugs in the past. I am well into recovery these days. But one of the interesting things about taking stimulant drugs is that they erode that gap, right? So, and I think like sometimes you gotta take the good from things, right? Even though they're terrible. And I have a little bit of a sort of philosophical and meditative understanding of this, in that you get to the point where you've taken a lot of stimulants. You have no control. You get to observe, but you don't get to wait on your thoughts, right? So that process of like stuff is happening under the hood that I don't control, but I get that moment of reflection. Yeah, I get that ability to reflect on my thoughts. Yeah, to do metacognitive thinking, right? So the thoughts are emerging, the process is happening under the hood. How do I feel? Am I horny? Hungry? What conversation? All this stuff is blah, 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 blah. It's all cracking off. Yeah, without any control, right? But there is a overseeing process that gets this one's it's like a tentacle monster that's coming. You're like, oh, okay, and I'm going to put that strand. The rest of you, no. I'm going to pull this strand and I'm going to run with it, and then that's going to cause more things to emerge all chaotically. Pulling the thread. Yeah. If you take enough stimulants, those two merge, right? So the space between the two, it becomes zero. So whatever happens, you just do it. You're still aware. You're still completely conscious. If anything, you're hyper aware because you're wired, right? But there's no thread. Yeah. You're just manically doing everything that pops into your brain whenever it comes out, like, and it's just like you're on autopilot, right? You're just super efficient, but then of course it's chaos because you don't control anything. So it's like you feel like you're just doing. You're like, man, I'm doing this and this and this, but it's madness, right? Okay, and it really is insanity, right? You've become like an animal, like and I think even animals probably have more, but you've become like a man, I think even ants probably have more biofeedback than that. I don't know. Like you've become like a really awful robot, or demonic would be possessed, right? Would be the old school. You know, if we go back to this lady Mara, yeah, it would be that. Like you've given up the very thing that makes you human. Yeah, don't take stimulants, right? Yeah. Green tea is great. Yeah, that's perfect, right? Maybe a coffee or two. Right? Yeah, anything more than that. Right? Yeah, so that's an interesting philosophical position. Man, I've got too many rants today. And it's a step towards designing artificial intelligence. Yeah, brain-computer interfaces can interact with that, and I think I've talked about it a few times. So the interaction between brain and computer can help explain intentions. Yeah, the important attribute feature of human goal-oriented behavior that have already been debated commonly in the philosophy of mind. Okay, good. That's where I finish, right? So yes, it's fascinating, right? And I think from a science fiction writing point of view, that is an amazing point of interest. That deep philosophical understanding that arises from meditation masters in Eastern disciplines, that we are not the we're the captains of the ship, but the ocean is not calm. Yeah, and any like that perceived feeling of ego and identity, that like I am responsible for all my thoughts. Like I cause everything. I think, therefore I am. No, yeah. I reflect on thoughts that have arisen without my control. I observe my mind stream, which I did not consciously originate. Yeah? That is the true insight. And now this is backed by science, right? Because this is what they can observe, right? And you can pick up, and if you wanted to get real nasty, you could skip the conscious control part, right? Similar to how I mentioned, like the amphetamines bring that window down. If you were, so you got all that the chaos tentacle monster of the uncontrolled thoughts, you could just you could put if you understood all that process perfectly and could separate all the signals, you could skip the conscious control part. You could just go right in there. Yeah. So then you can beam and if you get that as a loop, you can beam your marketing, your pornography. If you're a dictator in North Korea, just instructions and how to live and propaganda directly into the unconscious mind. And the person wouldn't even perceive it. It would just form that background. And then then you would incept people. Literally inception, right? Those thoughts would arise as if you thought that they were yours. Yeah? It's good to finish with something a bit creepy. That's what we like. Yeah. Or choose the golden path. You could link that so you could become directly aware of your unconscious mind and then work with it therapeutically. If you were skilled in meditation, you could develop biofeedback mechanisms that could work directly with your unconscious mind. Yeah, you could address those root unconscious sources of suffering. You could make them become as real to you. Yeah, those deep childhood traumas that are forgotten, those weird attachments. Why am I into feet? You could unpick it all consciously, right? And then we'll all be bodhisattvas, right? We'll just be on the great golden path, yeah, okay, to ascension. So yeah, like all these technologies, there's this lady. My other side is not good. That's that's the guy that did Uzumaki, Junji Ito. That's one of my favorite manga artists, horror manga artists. So yeah, like both mine are evil, but yeah. So let's go in the middle then. Yeah. So you could have the path of darkness, or you can have the path of humanity, right? And both of these options are available. Yeah, using this technology, right? We could directly work not only with the conscious mind, but we could peel back the layers of ignorance and either use it to become enlightened beings fully aware of our inner selves, you know, or we could, beam neuromarketing directly into our unconscious minds. Up to you, humanity. See you next time.